think it's sufficient? Have we got hope that, as Keir Starmer says, by Christmas everybody's going to see an improvement?
No.
So hello everybody, I'm talking today to David Craik, who is our expert on all things civil engineering, a man with a CV that would put many people to shame with his experience and knowledge in this area. And we're talking about that lovely subject, potholes. We had an invitation to do a visit to the National Highways Centre in Birmingham at the end of last year. We haven't had a chance to do a video to discuss that. So I thought we'd take the chance now, given that there's been a lot of talk in the press recently about potholes and the amount of money being spent on it.
Keir Starmer said it was now time for councils to get on with the job of fixing the country's roads.
But we obviously went to National Highways to have a look at the motorcycling perspective, the risks that are faced by motorcyclists, specifically when it comes to poor road surfaces, and how National Highways deal with it and how good a job they do on it. So yeah, David, how did you come away from that meeting? There's a range of possible motions from excited to reassured to disgusted and shocked. But what was your general feeling when we left National Highways?
I would say I came away reassured from our meeting with National Highways. Yeah, it was a good meeting, and they've done some good work on recognising that motorcycles use their network.
Can you go down to the specifics? I mean, what is it that National Highways are doing? Do you think that there's anything that is different or original or better than you would see from, say, local authorities? Obviously, we need to understand National Highways. They're responsible for the strategic road network, which obviously covers the whole of the country, England. But then you've got the local authorities that deal with the local roads. So is there a difference in approach, do you think, between how National Highways deal with it and local authorities deal with it?
In general, yes, I believe there is. I mean, the strategic road network that National Highways look after, basically motorways and the very major trunk roads, is only 3% of the network in England. The rest of it is maintained by local authorities. But as far as the strategic road network goes, National Highways have done a lot of work on publishing documents designed to keep motorcyclists safe. So they've included us in their design manual, specific references to motorcycles. They've actually published a guide to designing for motorcyclists, which identifies good design practice. They published a book about improving motorcycle safety, which reviews safety interventions. They've got involved with biker tech displays about safe riding methods, and they use its motorway signal to support large biker events. So they're positive. They have a positive view of motorcycling. I think they do recognise that motorcyclists are vulnerable on their network, and they do recognise that an incident involving a motorcyclist can be far more serious in terms of physical injury than a car accident. We did look around the network with their inspectors, and we chatted with them about how they would rate defects on the network, potholes, etc., for motorcyclists. Their defect prioritisation documents don't actually refer to motorcyclists, which is a little bit disappointing, but their means of identifying defect prioritisation definitely does include motorcyclists. It was definitely high on their agenda when considering potholes, etc., in the road network. I'd also have to say that this National Highways has significantly more funding per mile for the strategic road network than local authorities do. I mean, many hundreds of percent more, because the strategic road network is a really important network for the country. If the M1 is shut, UK PLC starts losing money. It's as simple as that. The network needs to be open. So they do have a lot of funding, and they are very quick to complete repairs where there is a dangerous pothole or such like on the road network, and that is to the benefit of motorcyclists. So overall, As a motorcyclist, I feel far happier riding down the strategic road network than I would do on many of the local authority maintained roads. It was also good to see, by the by, that actually when we got to the office, there was a motorcycle shelter built right outside the door, and there were motorcycles owned by National Highways staff in that shelter. So, we're amongst friends.
Yeah, yes. Like I say, I've got a clip which I shall show in this video that of me arriving at the headquarters there and being shown by the security guard to the motorcycle parking area, which is undercover, and yeah, like I say, brilliant. Obviously, the fact that the guy who runs the place rides a motorcycle probably has something to do with it. But yes, it was good to see that. Yes, they do know that motorcycles exist, and they are aware of us. And certainly, when we did the ride out with the inspector around, we did the what they call it. Is it called the Birmingham box? So the M42, M6,
yes,
M5,
yes, box,
that loop around Birmingham. And yeah, it was clear that there was an understanding from an individual whose job it is to go out and do the inspections and take a look at the quality of the road surfaces and such like on the strategic road network. It was clear that he did have an understanding of what's the difference between a car and a motorcycle when it comes to the risk that the road surfaces pose. Do you think that, from a funding perspective, it's quite interesting. I think, obviously, you wrote an article for the Open Road on it, and you pointed out the fact that even National Highways funding has actually reduced slightly over time. So it's not a case of national funding for funding for National Highways, should I say, is on the increase. And I think I did some sort of like checking on the numbers and so I found the numbers that you quoted in the article. But then obviously, that 23 billion, that's spread over 5 years, and National Highways get 5-year funding settlement, which is different to local authorities, which is done on an annual basis. So obviously that 23 billion, when you divide it across the 5 years, is I think 4.7 billion, something like that. But then I look deeper and you can see obviously that funding covers all the work that National Highways do. It's not just maintenance of the road network. The money that they then spent on repair and renewal of the road surfaces in 2022 and 2023 was 1.5 billion. So that is roughly in the area of what the local authorities get nationally, being spent on 3% of the network. So yeah, as you said, the National Highways are responsible for 3% of the roads in the country, but they're getting the same amount of money to spend on that as the local authorities are getting on the other 97% of the roads. So it's hardly surprising that there's a little bit of conflict between the local authorities and what they claim the favourable treatment that goes to the National Highways. But then again, you look at it, the importance of the strategic road network, it's understandable that it's going to be better funded.
Yeah, the strategic road network has to stay open to keep UK PLC going. It's as simple as that. But the B4753 can close and UK PLC won't notice that. That's the simple fact of road networks.
Yeah, because although in terms of length of road, it's only 3% of the roads, it's still carrying over a third of the traffic. So yeah, it's one of those situations where you've got a very heavily used road is obviously vastly more important to keep it open than it is something that has got one car every other week.
And not only a third of traffic, but 2/3 of national freight traffic at any one time is on the motorway network. 2/3.
Yeah.
It's
which again is those bigger, heavier vehicles that are creating more damage to the road surfaces in the first place. So.
That's where money is made, and that's where Rachel Reeves' growth will come from.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's been a fair amount of activity in the media. Obviously, National Pothole Day recently. They roll out ministers and campaigners and everybody to discuss it. And Obviously, the government has announced £1.6 billion going into repairing the roads. But I think that the way that this narrative goes, and it seems to be the same whether it's this government, the previous governments, it's always the same. Is that we're putting in lots more money to repairing the roads. It's now down to the local authorities to do a better job and be more efficient. And then you've got the campaigners and the local authorities saying, well, yes, but however much money you're saying that you're putting into it, it's still not enough.
I've lost faith completely in any government or political party really wanting to do something. I mean, they talk about £1.6 billion as an awful lot of money, but the size of the backlog in the UK is not only £16.3 billion in carriageway works in England and Wales, there's a £6 billion backlog in bridge maintenance. Then you've got footpaths, drainage. I estimate it's probably £30 billion. If the government had come out and said they're going to put in an extra £3 billion a year to resurface our roads, I could see there being some change. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
I've got some clips which I will show here of the current government saying 1.6 billion going into repairing the roads, almost making it sound like that's 1.6 billion of new money. It's not. That's 1.6 billion in total. And then you've got another clip of Mark Harper, a previous Transport Secretary under the Conservatives, saying we're going to put in 8 billion over 10 years into repairing the roads.
Secretary watching repair work in Essex today says the new money's enough to fill 7 million potholes.
We need local councils to think carefully about how they use this money so that they're investing in a sensible, sometimes proactive way to ensure that we're not leaving the problem until it gets too great and is very expensive to fix.
So on the funding issue, they're absolutely going to get more funding, further £8.3 billion over 10 years. My department in the very near future will be setting out the local authority allocations of that £8.3 billion. They should take the time and the trouble to think about how effectively they're going to turn that money into improved roads.
But then you look at the figures for how much money was actually spent, and in 2023-24, it was 1.7 billion was spent on repairing local roads. That's how much funding went into it. The previous year it had been 1.4. And so you've now got the new government saying, well, we're increasing it up to 1.6. Now, last time I checked, 1.7 is more than 1.6. So it's actually a reduction.
Yeah.
But it's been billed as we've increased the amount of money. That it just seems that there's an awful lot of smoke and mirrors that goes into reporting these figures. But, I mean, what's your feeling, generally speaking, overall, the scale of funding that is going into this? Do you think it's sufficient? Have we got hope that, as Keir Starmer says, by Christmas, everybody's going to see an improvement?
No. It's simple as that. And the issue is that politicians talk about repairing potholes, but repairing pothole does not fix the road. The pothole is a sign that that road has worn out because it's not been repaired, renewed, reconstructed in its previous 50 years of life. We haven't, as a nation, we have not invested in roads since, well, investment really stopped in the 1980s. We've just kept them going. And we've reached a stage now where, without investment, the road network in this country is worn out. And potholes are the indicator that that has happened. And repairing a pothole in one place doesn't mean to say that another pothole won't appear 2 metres down the road. The roads are worn out. We have not invested in them. The motorways, national highways do a fantastic job of keeping them going. Bear in mind they are currently carrying 10 times the amount of traffic they were designed for. And we really stopped building motorways when we completed the M25 in 1986. That's it. We stopped 4 decades ago. We stopped building motorways, but we're still expecting the economy to grow. There has been some local road development around bypasses, etc. But the maintenance of local roads has largely been discarded. It's not been done. Politicians have spent money on other areas. I mean, social care is a big thing, education is a big thing. I'm not saying they spent it badly, but they haven't spent it on highways. And repairing potholes, okay, it will stop people driving down the pothole and having a crash and damaging their car, but it does not actually repair the road. It does not solve the problem. 1.6 million will repair a few potholes. Jolly good, whether it's 1.6, 1.8, 1.7, it doesn't matter. It's an amount, it's a soundbite for a politician to make. It does not resolve the problem. The problem is that the road network is worn out and it needs a lot more money. I mean, many tens of times more than 1.6 million to get us anywhere near close we need to be. I think, if I recall correctly, the figure is something like a 18 billion backlog of local road maintenance. I think that was that the Asphalt Alliance came up with that. I forget now.
Again, this is something that I mean we're talking amounts of money that no individual can really conceive of, but I mean I think the Asphalt Industry Association are putting it around 16 or 17 billion the backlog, and it requiring 11 years to catch up. I think I've seen a report from the National Audit Office, so this is the government-backed National Audit Office. I'll put in a clip here from the guy who's doing it.
The condition of local roads in England is getting worse. The Department for Transport has allocated £1.2 billion for repairs this year. However, the backlog in repairs is also increasing, with industry estimating that the bill to return roads to a good state of condition now stands at over £15 billion. Local authorities say that the rising backlog is in part due to insufficient funding from central government and cost pressures from inflation, which means too much work is focused on reacting to problems like potholes rather than preventing them.
And he basically has said that yes, it is accepted that the figure is in the region of 15 billion. So I mean, yeah, we're talking 10 times more than the amount of money that is going into actually repairing the roads is the backlog. Never mind keeping it at a steady level. So it's no shock that the state of the roads is declining. It's not improving. All this announcement of money, we're not even getting close to the level where we could stop the rot. Never mind repairing everything. It just stop the rot and them getting worse.
So the 1.6 billion, whatever the politician, whatever number the politician announces, it is not enough to solve the problem. There will still be potholes next year and the year after that until the roads are properly renewed. Yeah.
I mean that's. I mean we've highlighted things like the JCB Pothole Pro and increase in efficiency in terms of repairing the road surfaces, but ultimately it needs ongoing maintenance. Resurfacing of the roads on a sufficiently regular basis that we don't need to do all the patching. It's great to have machines like the Pothole Pro, but we shouldn't actually need a Pothole Pro machine because potholes should be so rare that you can spend a week repairing one.
as they are in many other countries, of course. Not every country has the problem we have with potholes because they have continued to invest.
Yes, yeah. Like I say, it is a case of it really does come down to investment. The investment isn't there, and frankly, no matter what the government of whatever colour it is and whichever flavour we happen to have in power at that time, they always make the same claim that they're putting in more money. It's very much smoke and mirrors. It's very rarely more money, and even if it was more money, it's nothing like the level that is required. So it's a rather bleak outlook. But is there anything that you can think of to end us on a positive note?
Well, I think there is an understanding that the road network needs some money. They just need, but there's always a problem finding it. I mean, I suppose the positive note is that, as far as the strategic road network goes, National Highways are doing a really good job of keeping that running. And as far as the local network goes, a number of local authorities, councils, are looking at and have adopted more intelligent ways of designing how they spend their maintenance money. So yes, there is some positivity there. It doesn't cost more to spend the money efficiently. It just requires some effort to bring in the systems to do it. Hopefully, we will be speaking to one of those local authorities in the very near future and bringing that positive story forwards. But in general, we are where we are, and without significant investment from government into the strategic road network and into the local authority roads, potholes are here to stay.
Yes, I think, yeah, like I say, I mean, obviously a lot of people will be thinking, well, okay, so what can MAG really realistically do? And I suppose that on a relatively small scale, we've got to just keep on prodding, making sure that the potholes get reported, you know, holding local authorities' feet to the fire to make sure that they are actually doing it, recognising the ones that are, you know, cause us the greatest grief and risk. But yeah, ultimately, this is going to take a fundamental change in priorities at national government level if we really want to solve this. It's like we can chip away at the edges, but frankly, it's going to take something at national level, a significant change in attitude to, you know, the level of investment that is required in the roads.
Yeah, we'll work to keep it as safe as we can by identifying good practice. But yes, investment is required, and that's government.
That's excellent. Right, well, thank you for your time this morning, David, and no doubt we'll speak again. I think we were going to be trying to do a video about surface dressing. You know, we're brave enough. We will go there. We will discuss it. We were hoping to do that last year, but hopefully, say surface dressing season is just around the corner, so hopefully we'll be able to have something out for you on that in the not too distant future. So I guess if that's one of those things that annoys you just as much as the potholes, look forward to a video on that. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.